Coach, first question is, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the men's team released their schedule for the women's team. For the women's team at this point, do you guys have any sense of your spring schedule?
Yeah, I'd say our spring schedule is probably 95% done. One of the things we actually found out on Friday was typically for the National Indoor Team Championship, which is in February, it's a 16 team event, and you have 15 regionals at the end of January they call it the kickoff weekend. And you get a chance, 4 teams go to each region, and you play into the national team indoors. So we got an email on Friday during the event that we were hosting saying that now only 8 teams are going to qualify for the national team indoors in February, and they're only going to have 7 regionals. So with us finishing outside the top 7 last year, that went from us hosting 2 dates of competition in January to now there's a draft format for this that's going to take place first week of December. So that kind of was a little bit challenging for us because we lost 2 home matches in that email. And a few other things have happened. USC was supposed to come here and play a home match, and within the last 2 weeks, they've pulled out of that. My concern with putting out the schedule too soon is that people put that into their calendars, and sometimes people don't always notice the changes. And so I felt like right now maybe we'd just wait a little bit longer, and then that way when we release it, we have a clear picture. One thing that we're going to do in regards to schedule is we're going to play some Big 12 teams, a non-conference match as well. For instance, we're supposed to go to Texas this year. They'll probably be the preseason favorite. They were a top 5 team at the end of last year. We were supposed to go there to play them the conference match, but now they're coming here and doing a non-conference match with us. So we'll play them twice this year. We'll probably play a couple other Big 12 teams twice. With the testing and the protocols, I think there's a lot still to be up in the air. And, I just had a phone call this morning with Duke. We were supposed to have our very first match of the season was against them. And now it looks like that's kind of slipping away from us. So to answer your question, I'd say, we know our conference schedule. We know a lot of the matches that are regionally based, such as Tulsa and OU and Wichita State, some of these type of schools that we traditionally play every single year, Arkansas, like those teams are easy to plug in. It's the teams, on a national scale, everybody's still kind of waiting to see. So I'd say we're probably 4 or 5 dates away. And, as I told Charlie earlier, I'd hope to release it before December 1st. And I know that's later than we ever have before, but it's different time. So hopefully everybody understands.
And then, geographically speaking, I know last week on Sunday you told me that your fall season was just restricted to bus travel. Is that the same for spring, or are you guys allowed to fly just a little bit?
I think there's a little bit that still is up in the air with that. We
Okay.
do have a tournament on our schedule right now, which is the Blue Gray. It's in Montgomery, Alabama. We played every other year. That would be a trip that, we'd prefer to fly than take a bus to Montgomery, Alabama. So we're hoping that we'll be able to do that. That trip's going to be interesting because we played every other year. We stay with host families. We stayed with the same host family the last several years that we've played it. With COVID protocols, I'm not sure. Like, do we stay with the host family? Do we now just stay in hotels? I think there's a lot for us to learn about. So, I think there's hopefully an opportunity for us to fly a little bit. We lost our flying trips last year, so we still have some unused credit. So it's not going to go against the budget to be able to fly. So hopefully we can put those to good use. And even though we're trying to be budget conscious, I think we can probably do those things. We hope things get better.
Sure. Thank you.
How's it going, Coach? So thinking back on this past, dominant tournament weekend, I just had a couple questions. How do you think, preparation-wise, you guys compared to the other teams in the conference? I know that y'all got to, compete in some tournaments prior to the championships this weekend, but I know you didn't really get to play a lot of people in conference. up until that point. So how do you think y'all compared preparation-wise?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. You know, we got to go to a tournament at OU with TCU and Texas Tech. We got to play regionals with our central region with a few different teams. This was the first time that we got to see Kansas State, first time that we got to see Iowa State. And so, you know, for us, it was a few teams at Baylor. We hadn't seen them before. So it definitely gave us a good way to gauge ourselves. You know, I think as we talked about a little bit earlier, Texas is obviously going to be a very strong team in the league as well. You know, the two of us were the top two ranked teams at the end of last year and the preseason 1 and 2 last year. So, you know, we were looking at some good battles with them, but the league is really deep. I think there's no one in the league you can take lightly. I think there's a lot of really good coaches in the league, and there was a lot of good play this past weekend. I think that the thing we learned about our team is that we have a lot of depth. I think you saw all the way up and down our lineup, our girls competed well, and it's going to give us a lot of opportunities with our lineup, especially with adding even one more player in January. So the challenge as a coach is when you have that depth is to put people in the right spots. It's a totally different feel playing a spring dual match as opposed to a tournament where you throw everybody out there, because now I've got to put girls in the right spot, that the person they're playing against, it's the right matchup for them. It's the right spot for them to compete in. And I think that's part of coaching in tennis, is getting your lineup correct for the spring season, because, you know, you get a couple kids out of order, you may be giving up a couple spots, or, you know, you may put yourself in a difficult spot. If you put the lineup in the right spot and get kids where they're comfortable, you know, some good things can happen. So a lot of it's about matchups when you go into a dual match, not so much, you know, a tournament play where everybody can compete against each other openly.
And then just after, you know, a really dominant performance this weekend, what's the feeling like for the team and for you as a coach after, you know, definitely a season with some adversity and coming off of being able to win in Stillwater after not having the national championships there in the spring?
Yeah, I think first of all, you allude to the fact that we got to host a big event here, and everybody said, oh, that, you know, it was looking great. It was set up really nice for nationals. We got to put our new facilities to good use in some ways with some of the new locker rooms and things that we had put together. So that was fun to see those being used properly. I think for us, you know, we're a pretty confident group after the hard work that we put in. You know, a lot of credit to our strength coach, Nick Hoheisel, and the work that he's done with the girls. I thought our fitness level really showed through. That's something we pride ourselves on, as being the best team on the third day of a tournament, because the third day of a tournament, everybody's fitness begins to show. And, you know, it's tough. You play a lot of tennis over the course of 2 days, and that third day is really about mental and physical toughness. And I thought our girls showed really well in that. And then I think our girls, you know, gained a lot of confidence that all throughout the lineup, any of those girls can step up. You could make a case for several girls being our number one singles player right now. And I think that's a good problem for us to have, because that's going to give some good competition going into the spring and keep everybody hungry and motivated. And I think, you know, with only 6 spots for singles in a spring dual match, you know, there's going to be some good competition for playing time all the way through. And hopefully that just makes us better.
Thank you, Coach. That's all I got.
Hey, Coach, just real quick, I have one more question. So, you know, today, November 11th, in sports, it was the first, I guess, early signing day period. Today did Cowgirl Tennis did Cowgirl Tennis make any moves?
We didn't today. You know, we came into this year without any seniors on the roster, so we knew that it'd probably be a quiet period for us. You know, one of the things that we're going to learn a lot as we move forward is with kids getting an extra year. You know, there's going to be some kids that are going to choose to use that and kids that choose not to use that. So you have to always be recruiting and always be prepared. But we went into this year not really having anything to offer. You know, over the summer or this fall, I haven't had a spot to offer. We're a little bit different than some sports, you know, because a lot of sports they call equivalency sports, so they can divide up their scholarships. We we can only give 8 kids money. So it's either a full scholarship or nothing. And so we have to go based on our spots available. And so we can only offer a scholarship when we have somebody given that spot up due to graduation or transfer or whatever it may be. So we're in a little bit different spot than your sports like softball or soccer or others who, always probably have some money that they're looking to play with and can adjust from year to year their roster. Ours is a little bit more just player to player, and we got to focus on the 8 girls that we have and making sure that we have good quality ones. And we were able to sign a girl early this fall to give us, our 8th girl going into the spring. But we're always aware that things could change at any moment, and so just making sure as that happens, we'll be ready. And it's great that kids are signing right now. We haven't been on the road recruiting. We've had a lot of recruiting restrictions as coaches. So I'm looking forward to the chance of getting back out there and hopefully finding more Cowgirls.
Yeah. So of course, sorry, I was just gonna ask one more. With COVID, with COVID, how does that restrict recruiting? I mean, are you just on the phone or virtual or?
Yeah, we're restricted, all coaches in all sports. We're not able to be in person with kids. We're not able to see them in person. We're not able to leave campus, and they're not able to come to campus. They can come to campus on their own, but we can't have any contact with them. So it's all by phone. We do some virtual meetings. We've done some virtual tours through Zoom or things like that where we've showed kids around virtually. We try to use some of the videos and different things that have been created for us, highlighting our team. So anything that we have that highlights our team, we try to get it in the hands of kids and let them see it and let them ask us questions. But it's really hard to get to know kids in this format. So we're trying to, play it as slow as possible, but we have some really good kids on our radar. And hopefully, the recruiting restrictions is through December 31st. So we're hopeful the beginning of the new year, they'll lift those restrictions for all sports and either let kids come on campus for visits or let us get in the homes of players or at their academy or their tournaments and watch them play.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Coach, you kind of talked about the depth of this team and kind of how much success you guys had this weekend. Can you kind of talk about Benyawe and Ayumi pairing together for the first time this weekend and their success?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think really all of our doubles was the highlight of the weekend for me because we put 3 new doubles teams together. And Benyawe and Ayumi actually played their very first tournament here last fall together. They went and played a professional tournament and got to the finals in doubles. And it really could have been a team that we rode with last year, but we felt like it would give us more depth if we split them up and put them with different partners. And then Lisa and Ayumi became an All-American team. But with Ayumi as an All-American, I think we feel confident. She's one of the best doubles players, if not the best doubles player in the country in my mind. And so I think we can put her with anybody on our team and they can do well. When you have someone as talented as Benyawe, I think it makes it a pretty good team. And, you see this weekend, I think 6-2 was the closest score that anybody got out of the matches they played. So it's pretty dominant for them. And then, when you have those 2 together and then you can put the other 2 teams that we did with Linka and Daria and Alana and Danny, and they had the success that they had, really we only lost 1 match in doubles that wasn't played against, each other. So I think that those 2 are going to be a really good doubles team if we stick with that. And I think the depth of our doubles team all the way down, really showed forth this weekend.
Also, too, kind of with Daria and Alana this fall, what did you kind of see from them in their development? Obviously, they couldn't have finished it off better than they did with the championships this weekend, but what have you seen with their development this fall?
I think Alana is probably the most improved. I think just from a comfortability standpoint, I think I always say the kids improve the most between their freshman and sophomore years when they come back after that freshman year. Just even students, people realize you're just more comfortable. You know what's going on. You show up, okay, this is how things work. You're not guessing. You're not waiting for something to happen. You know what's going to happen. And same thing for her. She just came back a much more confident person, and that comes with experience. And, I think that her experience really showed through. I thought she was on track to win regionals, our Central Region Championship in singles a few weeks ago, and then she pulled her hamstring but she recovered from that. And I told her early on in the first round, thought she was trying to do a little too much, and I said, you can't win the tournament until you win the first one. So we kind of laughed about that, and she reminded me that I'd said that after she won the tournament. So, she's really improved a lot. And then I think Daria showed me the most of any player that we had this weekend. I was most impressed with Daria, with her level of commitment to just being consistent and competing the way that we've been asking her to do it. She put it all together. And when she plays like that, she can beat anybody. She's very physical, very athletic. She can do a lot of things. And the way that she competed, I was very, very pleased with her performance.
And kind of my last thing is just one thing I had heard you say this weekend is there's 0 positive cases throughout the fall for the tennis team. Can you just kind of talk about the level of dedication the girls had to getting on the court?
Yeah, I think the girls all come from all over the world, and they, some of them came from places that were in a pretty severe lockdown, much more than what we faced here. And so they understood the severity of it, had a healthy fear, I would say, for what the virus can do to you. And our girls were just determined that they all made a choice to leave home and come back here to compete. So they wanted to give themselves the best chance to compete. And if that meant sacrificing going out and doing some of the things they would normally do, they were willing to do that. And we talked a lot about it. And, I don't think that it's, as a negative thing when people get the virus. I think sometimes it has such a negative stigma. I'm just proud of the kids for their commitment to doing it. It shows that they're willing to follow protocols. They're willing to do the necessary things. They're willing to take the necessary steps. They're willing to sacrifice whatever needs to be done. And I think more importantly, it shows that we have a very safe sport. Our sport is play where you're never within 6 feet of the person unless you've done something wrong. You're not crossing the net. You're not doing anything. And so we're distant by nature. I think you saw that even with the way we ran this tournament. The fans could be on one side of the stadium and the players could be on another waiting for their matches. So our sport is very safe. I think that's why our sport is growing during COVID. Tennis as a sport is growing as much as it ever has in popularity of people playing it, because people want to be active and they want to do something. They want to do something that they feel is safe. So our sport lends it to that. And so I think with all those factors added up, our girls have done a great job. And I'm proud of them for their commitment to following everything that we ask them to do and just taking care of themselves and sticking inside the bubble that was created for them. I think the athletic department did a great job. And I think one of the benefits for us is, we talked about some of the facilities that we built for the NCAAs, and we built a fitness center and kind of reorganized a fitness area over there. So that's allowed us to fitness center full time. We can do all of our fitness, all of our training, everything we do is at the tennis center. We don't have to come to Gallagher. We don't have to move around to do anything else. And so we've been able to protect ourselves, I think men's and women's tennis both very well this fall.